Darling, you send me, I know you send me, darling, you send me, I know you send me, darling, you send me.
Hi everyone! So I know it has been a while since there was an update on my academics, but it has been 2 or 3 years and I have a full update for you guys. I finished SPM already, obviously. I finished my pre-university as well, and I am officially kind of enrolled in my university, that is the University of Sydney, which I will be starting next February. So this is just an update on my educational journey, what are the results I got, and why did I apply for these courses, and how I got into the University of Sydney as well with my SPM as well as my foundation, and how I got a full scholarship as well. So let's get into it. For my SPM, I took pure science stream, and the results I got was 4A plus and 5As for the 9 subjects that I took. So why I did pure science was because at that time I was interested in pharmaceutical science and dermatology, as well as computer science, and also interested in mass communication like journalism, broadcast journalism specifically. And I wasn't really sure on what I was planning to pursue in the future. I just knew that my interests lie in these 4 careers. So if I took art stream, I won't be able to pursue 2 out of 4 of the interests that I was interested in. If I did sciences, if I did pure science, I could, I have the option to pursue any 4. So that's why I took pure science. My 4 classes were in English, BM, Sejarah, and mathematics, and my other subjects were A's. So yeah, and with my results, I could apply for scholarships. I applied for a lot of merit scholarships mainly. I wasn't planning on bonded scholarships because I was a bit scared of being tied down to a company and everything. And I figured if I wanted to go for a bonded scholarship, I could still do it after my pre-U, although there weren't as many options, but there was still an option. So I decided to just aim for merit scholarships. Merit scholarships basically mean like scholarships that are given to you based on your results, like purely your results. And they're usually given by the university, so you don't really have to go through an interview or anything. But there are also scholarships where they take into account your co-curriculum as well. So yeah, there were quite a bit of options for me, but first I had to decide what I wanted to study. Yeah, so after my SPM, I took like a 3-month or 4-month gap, and I did an internship, but it was also giving me time to think about what I wanted to study. Because I know that deep down my goal was to study overseas, even though I couldn't afford it, but there were scholarships available. But first I knew that if I wanted to get a scholarship, I have to get into the university as well. So I had to study something that the university would accept. And at that time I still didn't know what university I wanted to go yet, so I had to do a qualification that would give me as many options. So there are a few options for this. There are things I like to call like standardized tests. So they have like a standard score for everyone who's taking the exam, and it's the same, like the grading and the scoring is the same, the system is the same no matter which school you're going. So there's A levels, there's IB, there's AUSMAT, there's CIMP, and there's STPM as well, matriculasi, which is like the national syllabus. So I didn't want to do STPM and A levels because I really struggle a lot with the whole exam based thing, and I find it harder for me to learn and study with it being 100% exam based. So I really completely ruled it out. And also for STPM, because at that time I already knew that I didn't want to do dermatology or pharmaceutical science. I was quite keen on information technology or computer science. So when I looked at the STPM syllabus, for me to take computer science, I have to go into science stream, and I just didn't want to go through like all the sciences again, because I know I wouldn't do as good, because for SPM I really relied a lot on my tuition. So A-levels and STPM was out. So what I had left was like AUSMAT, CIMP, and IB. So IB was also out because it took 2 years, and it's also pretty expensive because you only have IB in international schools. So I ruled that out as well, since I'm not planning to go to any European countries. So it was just AUSMAT and CIMP. I ruled CIMP out because it was just too expensive as well. They only have it at Sunway College, and the fee was pretty expensive compared to like everything else. So I was planning to do AUSMAT, and I applied for a scholarship at MCKL, if I'm not mistaken, and I actually got 100% scholarship. So I got 100% tuition fee scholarship, like I said, the merit scholarship, which covers my tuition fees. So I had that secured, but I was also still looking at other options because the exam fees at that time, like I just thought about like the exam fees and all the other costs that were involved. The exam fees for AUSMAT is quite expensive, as any other exam fees, and I was just looking at other options. So I found this thing called foundation. Usually foundation courses, it's recommended if you're planning to go to a local private university, because as long as your foundation is recognized by MQA, which is the Malaysia Qualifications Association or something like that, then you can use that foundation certificate to apply to other private universities, even if it's not the same as the one that you study your foundation in. So I was thinking about it because I wanted to have like, I had to think about, what if I don't get to go overseas? Like, do I really want to spend that much money, to go and end up just staying in Malaysia? So I was really trying to save money. And I found there are a few like foundation courses which are accepted by some overseas universities, and one of it was Help University. So I did my foundation in arts at Help University because it was accepted by quite a lot of UK and Australia universities. Just do your own research, and I was already considering to apply to UK or Australia. So, it was fine. Although if I took foundation, I knew that I had to give up some of my options. So for example, I had this kind of big unreachable dream of possibly applying for Oxbridge and getting in. But I know that if I took foundation, then I won't be able to apply. So yeah, you have to just calculate your risks for whatever options you want to take. So it was between AUSMAT and foundation, and I applied for the foundation course, and there was like a scholarship available as well. So I applied for the scholarship, I went through the interview, and I got the scholarship, though this was like a 85% scholarship that only covered your tuition fees. But it was still good enough because the tuition fees for the foundation was a lot lesser than like AUSMAT. So actually, if I compared it, the exam fees for AUSMAT and the remaining tuition fees I had to pay for my foundation, it wasn't really a big difference. So, and the college, like Help University, was nearer to my house compared to MCKL, so that's why I decided to go for foundation in arts instead. Why did I take foundation in arts instead of foundation in science? So at that point, I already knew I wanted to do computer science when I had to make this decision. And I looked at the subjects available for sciences and arts. For sciences, it's compulsory for you to take at least 2 science subjects, if I'm not mistaken. And then everything else, like you can add on to it to fulfill your credit points. But it was not a lot of options because it's mainly like your sciences. And then you just there's like mathematics, and you have to add on like there are only a few slots. You can only do like maybe 2 or 3 extra subjects. Whereas in arts, I could still do like programming. So programming, intro to programming was like a subject you can take in sciences or arts, and calculus as well you could take in sciences or arts. So I figured, why don't I do arts? In my head, I was like, I don't need to do sciences in order to pursue a degree in computer science, because I could still do programming, I could still do calculus, and at the same time I could still learn other subjects. I could learn about like communication, I could learn economics, which was also something I was interested in. And like who knows, I might find something else that I like. But I know with sciences, I didn't want to do sciences anymore. So I wanted to learn more things, like different things. Yeah, I did foundation in arts, and my CGPA was 3.81 out of 4, which is pretty good. And I could apply to a lot of universities, and I could apply for a lot of scholarships as well. But before I did that, I took a 1-year gap because I wanted to apply for UK universities and Australian universities, but at the same time I wanted to apply for scholarships as well. So most of these scholarships, they come out after SPM, so like February onwards or March onwards. So yeah, I worked part-time, still working part-time, and I waited until like February, March, and then that's like the scholarship season, so all the scholarships are like coming out. So I did some research on the scholarships I could apply for, and they're mainly bonded scholarships or like the scholarships under the university itself. So the university I applied for, I had a few like Australian universities I applied for, as well as one in Malaysia, which was Monash, which is still an Australian university. And I applied for like the scholarships under the university, which are the merit scholarships, so they cover your tuition fees, as well as bonded scholarships. So I applied for 2 bonded scholarships in the beginning, because like a lot of the scholarships for first year undergraduates, they mainly come out after STPM. So like post SPM scholarships, they come out after SPM results are announced, whereas like first year undergraduate scholarships, they come out after STPM results are announced. So if I'm not mistaken, that was like April or May. Yeah, and I applied for a bonded scholarship. So in the beginning, remember I said I was icky about it, and I figured, you know what, like if I can be bonded to a company, and if it's a good company, then I don't mind, because I have friends who are like looking for jobs already, and personally I have applied for jobs before, and I know how difficult it is, even though it's just a part-time job, or like I know how hard it is. And if I can be bonded to a good company, then it's fine, like I still get paid, I'm just bonded with this company. But if it's a good one, it's fine, and if I can study overseas, that's fine. So I applied for bonded scholarships then, and thankfully I managed to get through the interviews, and I managed to secure a scholarship for my studies. So the scholarship that I got was the Gamuda scholarship, and it's a fully funded scholarship that covers like my tuition fees, my expenses, my accommodation and everything. So quite happy about it. So yeah. Why did I choose the University of Sydney? Actually, I wasn't planning on the University of Sydney, because I've been applying for universities for like almost a year, and I only applied for the University of Sydney like July 2024, which is quite late, because all the other universities I applied like right after I graduated from foundation, which was like the previous year. I applied for Monash, Malaysia, Monash, Melbourne, UTS, RMIT. So yeah, mainly just Sydney and Melbourne universities. I didn't apply for anything else, like other universities outside of Sydney and Melbourne, because the main like tech hub in Australia is in Sydney and Melbourne. So I figured if I wanted to get an internship, I wouldn't want to be studying somewhere so far away. Plus, the only reason I will be able to study overseas is with a scholarship. So I would choose a university that, you know, can give me more opportunities. Like the area itself can give me more opportunities as well. So yeah, I already knew kind of what I wanted, and I fixed on the path to get to what I wanted. Yeah, so it's really important to know what you want and stay on that path. Like, if it's meant for you, it's really meant for you. That's what I believe in. But also try to keep your options open, so have a few like backup plans in case anything else happens. Which is why I applied for Monash Malaysia. Just in case I couldn't get a scholarship, you know, I could still apply for Monash Malaysia, and I could still apply for like Malaysia, like local scholarships, because not a lot of scholarships fully fund you to go overseas and study. So that was my backup plan. And yeah, but thankfully it was fine. I managed to get into the University of Sydney. I didn't apply for the University of Sydney because at first my counselor told me like, oh, they don't accept foundation because it's like a higher rank university in Australia. So I was like, oh, okay, that's okay. And then afterwards I changed my counselor, and then he told me like, oh, sure, like why not just try, you know, plus it's like free. So I just tried and I got it. Like I got the offer letter like 2 weeks later, plus I got like invitation for a scholar program because my grades were good. So yeah, I was like, okay, I feel like this university is meant for me. You get what I mean? So yeah, and then I applied and I got the scholarship, and now everything is secured. I just submitted like my enrollment a few days ago. So I'm officially enrolled into the University of Sydney, and I will be flying over to Sydney in February. So about like 5 more months. Yeah. And yeah, so it has been a very exciting journey, and I can't wait for the next part of the journey. And if you guys have any questions at all, like just put it in the comments below as well. Yeah. And anyway, thanks for watching. Bye bye.